Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I just kind of wanted to shed some light on my situation. I've been meaning to make this video for a very long time now, but I just haven't been feeling it. But you know what, I'm at the end of my pregnancy now, and I have experienced a lot of different things, and I feel like I feel as though my journey can help someone else. So basically, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I lost a baby in 2017. It was a baby boy, and the situation happened one day randomly. I thought I was pretty much taking everything easily throughout my pregnancy, and it was a 1 week. I'm trying to recall everything so I make sure I don't leave anything out, because the situation is so like delicate, and I know for a fact that when I brought it to social media explaining what happened, and the only reason that I brought it to social media when it happened was because I had just posted my maternity pictures, and then 3 days later I ended up losing the baby. So it went from like congratulations to rest in peace like really quick. So anyway, fast forward, everything was pretty much smooth through my pregnancy. I didn't really have any complications or anything like that. I remember that I went into the doctor on a Friday, and they told me, I went in the doctor on a Friday because I was leaking fluid. So I would be sleeping in bed, and anybody that's a woman that is pregnant, you know that, oh, my stomach is out, sorry. Anybody that's a woman that's been pregnant, or a husband that has had a wife or a girlfriend that's pregnant, you know that when you have to get up and go pee, you have to get up and go pee. However, in my situation, I was waking up in a pile of pee, like, well, what I thought was pee. So I'm just like, this isn't normal, because when you're pregnant, your body automatically wakes itself up to go use the bathroom, but instead I was waking up in a puddle. So I went to the doctor, and I just had a feeling that something wasn't right. I had a feeling that something wasn't right, and that's the reason that I went to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and the nurse told me, I told her the situation. She gave me an ultrasound, checked the baby heartbeat. His heartbeat was fine. But for some reason in the ultrasound, it just didn't seem right. Like, he was just very still. They kept trying to move my stomach. He wouldn't move. It just, something told me something wasn't right. But the doctor said everything was okay, so I just kind of just left it at what it was. So Sunday, it was a normal day. I went home, and my stomach was hurting. And I was thinking that my stomach was hurting because I was drinking a lot of milk, and I don't drink milk. I'm lactose, so I don't drink milk at all. And I was just drinking 2% milk, and because I was really craving it. So next thing I know, my stomach is hurting. I'm just like, okay, let me just go lay down. My stomach is probably hurting from drinking milk. But then I realized, like, those were contractions. And I know, because I have a son, so I know how contractions feel and everything like that. So I was like, you know what, let me just see if I'm tripping or not. Let me just time it on my phone just to see, you know, like, what is really going on. So yeah, I started timing them, and it starts feel like period cramps. And then after that, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where my boyfriend at the time, I told him to take him to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and it just seemed like on my way to the hospital, it just got worse. Like, the pain just got worse. It just got worse. It just got worse. I was 6 months at this time. So I get to the hospital. They check they do something where they check your the contractions to see how far apart they are, They put like a band around my stomach to monitor the contractions, and they gave me shots. And don't mind me if I'm moving a little slow with telling this story. It's because I'm trying to remember, because it was such a terrible experience, and so much has happened since then. And on top of that, like, you know, I was heavily medicated. So anyway, they put the thing around my stomach, and I remember that they you know, just left me in the room, and just, the baby still had a heartbeat. He was still fine. And I just remember it just being very, 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 very painful. The worst pain ever. Like, not normal contractions. Like I said, I have a son, so I know how contractions feel. These were like contractions times 10. Like, they were over the top. So I'm just laying there, and they gave me a shot in my spine. I don't think it was an epidural, but it could have been. But basically it was morphine, and then it was another shot for something else that they gave me in my, like right here, like in the top of my butt. So it was 2 different shots. It was one that was supposed to stop the contractions, and the other one was supposed to, like, one that was supposed to slow down the contractions, and the other one was supposed to like completely numb the pain. However, my body rejected both. So it just got worse and worse through the night. And it started at, I think I got to the hospital around 9-ish, 10. And I ended up having him at like 6 or something in the morning. So it just got worse and worse. He was breached. On top of that, it was just really not a good situation. I remember just laying there screaming and just saying all type of things like, just please, you know, get him out, because, you know, it was so painful that I felt like I was dying, and I was. The nurse that I had was not a good nurse, and when you're under the influence of so much medication like that, you're not really in the mindset to say, hey, who are you? How long have you been doing this? You know, nothing. You're just kind of taking it to what it is. But my nurse was not a good nurse. My nurse, I think she was like just starting out with nursing. So she just kept at this time, my contractions was like every like 20 minutes. So I would fall asleep, wake up 20 minutes, literally fall asleep, wake up, because you're so tired and exhausted. I kept falling asleep, waking up, and she kept shooting me with the morphine to stop the pain, because she's trying to figure out why am I still in pain. However, she kept injecting me with the morphine and whatever else she was injecting me with. So by the time I got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore, and I started like screaming to the top of my lungs, like for the nurse to come in. For one, she didn't even want to be bothered with me, it seemed like. She just kind of was just like, well, it's nothing that I can do right now. Like, no, like, I'm in pain. She was like, well, if you could keep the baby in for 3 more weeks, you know, he could probably make it. And I'm just like, she's like, but he could probably make it, you know. He would just be like, just talking about stuff that, like, I'm in pain. I don't want to hear nothing else. Like, I just was in very much so a lot of pain. So anyway, I'm at the point now where when you are so dilated, your body naturally pushes the baby out. You don't even have to push. The body naturally is going to push the baby out of you. So I was at that point. So I'm laying there, and I just pull my legs up myself, because I don't really talk about this that much, but this Kobe that died isn't my first baby that I lost. I did lose a baby a couple years before that, but I wasn't that far along. I was probably about 10 weeks, not that far along. And this may be like a little graphic, but I said I was going to be very, very transparent in this video. I have a picture of the baby. So this is the baby. Oh, like in my notes. So I just a little quick glance. So I was emotional during that time as well, of course, but oh, hold on. But however, I did overcome that situation. I wasn't that far along in that pregnancy, so I don't really talk about that one that much. But so, and then with that baby, it was kind of the same, not really the same situation, but I had to push that baby out at period. So I lifted my legs up and I know how to push a baby out. So at that point, the nurse was just acting like she didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to call anybody else in there. It was late in the night. Everybody was acting so tired. And, you know, I just ended up putting my legs up myself. So then that's when she started calling people. So at this point, she's still injecting me with morphine. So I was just like, all I remember hearing is that she's losing, what did she say? She said that my blood pressure is going down, and she said that I'm losing like a lot of fluid. And all I remember is hearing, and she was just like, if I give her another shot of morphine, she's gonna die. Like, and still at that point in your mind, you're not even registering really what's going on at the time. You're just not even thinking about what I'm gonna die. Like, you're not thinking about that. Like, you're just so in so much pain that you're just numb. So all I remember hearing is the monitor go do 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 do. Like, I was literally dying. And it was such a traumatizing experience. They ended up getting a baby out of Kobe out of me, but he was breached, so she had to put her hands inside me, turn him around. It was just such a painful and terrible, traumatizing experience. That was a baby that, you know, I was really excited for. I had left my apartment, moved into a house, you know, to get ready for his arrival, and, you know, to just be preparing for that, and then for it to not happen is just, and getting to know that baby and just getting you know, those moments ripped away from you is just like terrible. And even when I had him, he was still alive. So he wasn't a miscarriage, and he wasn't a stillborn either, because, you know, when you have a miscarriage, you miscarry, and then when you have a stillborn, you're pushing out a dead baby, basically. He wasn't neither of those. He was very much so alive when I had him, until my umbilical cord was cut. And then, you know, when they went to go rinse him off, he was not, he didn't make it. I was torn and heartbroken. That was probably, 2017 was probably the worst year of my life. I was very, very depressed. I was suicidal. Just postpartum times 1,000. It was just a very, very sad experience. And then I kind of feel like I went through that alone. You know, the partner that I had kind of just didn't give me the type of affection that I feel like any woman would need during that time, to have, you know, sat there and experienced all of that type of stuff. And then on top of that, like, you know, I stayed in the hospital and held him. I stayed in the hospital my normal amount of time that you spend in the hospital after you have a baby. I went to, he went and took his pictures. The hospital takes pictures of the babies and stuff after you have a baby. They take, like, he had his full face, his full features. He had everything. He had his private parts. He had everything. He looked like a regular baby. So it was just a very crazy situation, and it was an eye-opener, because now with this pregnancy, I know what to do and what not to do. Another situation I wanted to talk about was before all of this happened with drinking the milk and being like started having those contractions. I was working in the shop, and 2017 is probably the year I started really worrying and focusing on who I give my energy to, and even with my business of doing skincare, just what type of clients that I take, because everybody is not for you. And it was a situation where I was in the shop working, and I was in there by myself that day, I believe, and a lady came in, and she was late to her appointment. She was probably about 45 minutes late, and I ended up, you know, canceling the appointment, but she still popped up as I was closing. So when she came in, she was, you know, saying, hey, can I have my deposit back since you can't take me? And I was like, well, no, the deposits are non-refundable, excuse me, but you can reschedule. And next thing I know, she just started, you know, just acting crazy and just being upset. And I'm sitting down at the receptionist desk, and the receptionist is a little higher. She's standing up. So next thing I know, she just started kind of like talking on the phone, saying she was going to call the police because she didn't get her $20 deposit back. And I'm just like, well, you can reschedule, but here it states, you know, deposits are not refundable and forfeited once you don't call, no shows. So she ended up walking outside, talking on the phone, because I asked her, could you walk outside and talk on the phone, because she's literally in my face over me talking on the phone, and it's just rude. So, and she's speaking another language. So then she goes back outside, talks on the phone, comes back in, and she looks at me and she's speaking a different language. So to me, it made me cry immediately, because of course I'm pregnant and emotional, but I'm just like, what the hell is going on right now? And then I ended up losing him, you know, that Sunday. So it's just like, I don't know if this lady put something on me. I don't know like what is going on, if it's from just the milk, but it was just all these events just started happening, and ever since then I've just been super in tune with my, you know, my energy and everything else. Like, I'm very much so protected now, more so than I was before, and I'm just very cautious. I will quickly turn down somebody with the bad energy, because you just never know what people's intentions are. So fast forward back to what we were saying. I just wanted to put that out there. But fast forward back to what we were saying. So after I ended up leaving the hospital, after I ended up having him, I stayed in the hospital for those 3 days, and I just held him, you know, in my arms until he turned blue. It was the worst experience I've ever had. I can't stop saying it enough, because it was just so crazy. Like, I never thought I would have ever went through that. And then just even after that, you know, it was just crazy. But yeah, 2017 was my worst year. I just was not myself. I was very depressed. I gained a lot of weight. I just completely lost myself. I couldn't be who I could be for anybody else, because I wasn't myself. And that's just what it was. So following up after the hospital and all of that type of things, I go to my appointment, and I find out that, you know, the lady ended up getting fired, the one that sent me away when I was leaking fluid, because that was an emergency. And that wasn't my doctor I saw, that was just a nurse that was there. So when I followed up with my appointment after I lost the baby, for one, it was irritating, because it was like they didn't even know I lost the baby. So when I went in, they were just like, hi, how is everything going? And I'm just like, you didn't read my file? So then she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. So that was even worse. And then being back in that room, it just brought back memories, just uncomfortableness. So I think not that appointment, but a couple appointments after that, the lady ended up getting fired, because when you go in and you're leaking fluid, come to find out it was amniotic fluid. The lady was saying that I was just peeing on myself and it was normal. That's why she sent me back home. I was leaking amniotic fluid, so it looks kind of the same as pee. So she ended up getting fired. The nurse ended up getting fired that almost killed me, from Northside Hospital. She ended up getting fired because she overdosed me with medicine. And basically my doctor then tells me, oh, okay, well, because of this situation, you know, we ran tests and you have an incompetent cervix. And I'm like, well, I'm not that old. Like, why do I have an incompetent cervix? So that's just something that you can get after losing a baby. And you know, your cervix is what holds the baby inside. So she then tells me, you know, if you can get pregnant. The problem is delivering the baby. We don't think that you're able to get that far to where you can deliver a baby because of the incompetence of your cervix. Now, if you Google incompetent cervix, anybody can have, you don't know what it comes from. It doesn't come from anything. It's just your body is not able to hold a baby due to whatever reason. There is no reason, just like they never give you a reason if you lose a baby. They never give you a reason on why you lost the baby. It's always, it's just one of those things that happen. That's just what they say. So she basically said you can get pregnant, but holding your baby in for the amount of time needed for the baby to be held in, you're not going to be able to do that. So of course, just that automatically will make you feel like less of a woman. Like, okay, I can get pregnant, but I'm not able to have a baby. So it's just like, it's just a really messed up. So that was stuck in my head this whole entire time. Okay, let's fast forward to today. I am officially 9 months pregnant, and this journey has been very rocky because in my head the whole time I was just waiting to lose my baby, and that wasn't a good thought. That was, of course, you're not supposed to have, but when you've been told from your doctor that you're not able to have a baby, it's almost just like, okay, yeah. So I ended up getting pregnant, and a lady told me before I even got pregnant, she said that you're going to be pregnant this year, and this is going to be your miracle baby coming back. And this lady told me this January of 2019. She told me that. So I got pregnant later on in the year, and she also said it's going to be a girl. She said, this is your miracle baby coming back, and I think that it's going to be a girl. This is what somebody told me. And I was just like, I'm not about to be pregnant. Like, I'm not even about to put myself through that. I didn't go into details with her why I'm not about to be pregnant, but I was just like, ain't no way. Like, not happening. So I ended up being pregnant, crazy enough. And it's a girl, crazy enough. So basically I went to my OBGYN, you know, I told her the situation. She's like, okay, well, with this pregnancy, we're going to tell you about a cerclage. Why wasn't this told to me before? This is something that could have been done to save my last baby. Just all these things that they didn't want to tell me at first, they're telling me now, which is very awkward. So she tells me about a cerclage. So she says, well, when you reach, I think I got it at 13 to 6 through 16. I don't know. I can't think back that far. But she said maybe it was close to 16. She said when you get to 16 weeks, you're going to have to get their cerclage if everything is not looking right. All right. So what she also told me is you have to see 2 doctors. So I have to see my OB, and then I have to see a high-risk doctor. So they give you the high-risk doctor. You cannot automatically just get a high-risk doctor. The only way you can get a high-risk doctor is if your OB calls them and tells them that they're going to be your doctor. Like, you can't just call up the high-risk doctor and say, hey, I've been told I'm a high-risk patient and I want you to be my doctor. That's not how it works. It has to be a referral situation. So I ended up going to the high-risk doctor, and they're so great. But I ended up going to the high-risk doctor, and I have to see my OB. The high-risk doctor is who you get your ultrasounds from. They kind of just examine your cervix and just examine your pregnancy more so than an OB when you go and you're pregnant. And they just basically just check the heartbeat, you leave. They measure your stomach and you leave. The high-risk doctor is just a little bit more intense. So fast forward to like 16 weeks. I go in for a regular checkup, which is like a Tuesday, and he goes, you're dilated. Like, if I hadn't went to that appointment, I would have lost my daughter, which is so scary because, you know, of what I went through before. So I go in there, he's like, you're dilated. you don't dilate till the end of your pregnancy. When you get contractions and you're stretching out and your body is making way for the baby to come out. My body was already making way for her to come out at that early of a stage. So I went, he goes and he says, we have to rush you to emergency surgery. I ended up going to emergency surgery a day later, and at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get the cerclage. So in the cerclage, what he does is, what they do is, it's at the hospital, and they go and they put you to sleep. They put you to sleep, and then they go inside you and take, and I'm terrified. That is one thing I hate. I hate being put to sleep. I hate anesthesia. I hate stuff like that. So he puts me to sleep, and I actually had luckily my dad works at the hospital at Northside, because I had him find my anesthesiologist, and he was super cool, and he just made me feel very, very comfortable. And I thought that was very dope, because being that I was in the hospital with the situation with the last baby, it's hard for me to just trust anybody to just be sticking me with stuff. You just never know what's gonna happen, because I almost died that last time. I literally almost died. So for my dad to be, you know, be there and find somebody that he trusts, because he's been working at the hospital for years, that was like amazing to me. That was like really, really sweet and really good. I felt really comfortable, and I felt like, okay, I am going to wake up after this situation. So that took a lot of anxiety off of me. I struggle with anxiety. I have terrible anxiety. Like, I overthink everything. So that helped me a lot. And then the surgery was only like 10 minutes. They go inside you, and what they do is they stick a some type of stitching or a rubber band to close up your cervix. So your cervix is like this. The baby is sitting here right on top of your cervix. So the more you have contractions and you dilate, it opens up more and more and more. So he had to stitch that closed so that the baby, when she pushed down on me, she wouldn't come out. So that makes sense. So yeah, so I got the surgery done, real quick surgery. I woke up, I had to get my, of course they put you in a room to make you wake up all the way. So for when you wake up all the way, and that was it. They gave me some pain medicine. The pain was bad. It wasn't like, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, the pain was maybe like a 6, 7. I couldn't walk like that, so I had to be pushed in the wheelchair until I got home. But I was completely numb, because the medicine, of course, is making you tired and drowsy. So I was pretty much out of it. The medicine that they gave me was, you know, for the pain, and it just felt like, the pain felt like period cramps. It just felt like period cramps. Like your first day of your period is always the worst. It felt like the first day for like 5 days. And I had to take the medicine, because it's like, the medicine worked, but as soon as the medicine wore off, like, you want to, you know, go ahead and pop another pill. So I went through that for a couple weeks, and then now I just feel normal. So my cerclage is still in. Everybody's situation is different, but I definitely recommend, if you can just make it through 16 weeks or whatever, get a cerclage, because they don't tell a lot of black women this. Like, they don't tell us, oh, anything about a cerclage. I had no idea what a cerclage was until I got pregnant again. Like, until after I lost my baby and got pregnant again. Like, this is not nothing that they just mentioned to us. And the black nurse has told me that they offer it more to other races than our race, like my race. So I definitely suggest you throwing that out there for people that don't know. I am approaching the final weeks of being pregnant, and I'm very terrified. And it's not that, like, a lot of people, you know, ask me, how are you feeling and stuff like that. It's really a terrifying experience, and there's nothing that you could really say to make the situation better. There's nothing that anybody can really do to make me feel better about the situation. because nobody was in there when I experienced what I experienced. So, you know, PTSD, just terrible thoughts. I got into an accident where a bus hit my car. Like 6 months, I had to go to the hospital just to check and make sure the baby was okay and stuff like that. And even then, when I went to the hospital just for that, she was good. Even when I went to the hospital, I literally fell asleep in the hospital bed. I was by myself. It was cold. It was lonely. And I dozed off. And I literally had a nightmare that I was going through the exact same thing over again. And the nightmare was so real to me in that moment that I woke up to pains, like period cramps. Like, I woke up because it was so, like, it's crazy how much your mind, it's crazy how your mind works, because I literally woke up screaming, thinking that I was pushing like a baby out, and I wasn't. I was perfectly fine. But just, that's real. Like, PTSD is real, and I didn't even realize how stressed I was about the situation, because I've been keeping my mind and mental very copacetic throughout this pregnancy, so that I can have a healthy baby and, you know, a happy baby. So anything that has been bad or negative brought to me, I really haven't dwelled in it that much like I could, because I'm just like, I have to stay mentally strong for this baby. And with that situation, for me falling asleep, just to have that nightmare and to think that it's really happened, I'm very terrified to have her. Because it's like, I've been keeping myself at such a positive mental that, you know, despite everything that has been thrown my way, but it's just like, it's getting closer to the date now. And I'm just really trying to stay positive. It's really hard. And I feel like I am going to be positive, but I just don't know how I'm going to react when that day comes. I just hope that it's a really easy experience. She's already sitting head down. She's already in a position. And I go and get my cerclage cut out in a couple weeks. So, you know, I'm hoping that it's just a smooth transition and I can just get it over with. And, you know, I do have like a whole birth plan typed up this time, so that, you know, it's certain things that I'm not going to allow this time. And if I'm too medicated, whoever's with me and takes me to the hospital, this is something that they're going to need to know. They're going to need to know. I don't want any immature nurses. I don't want 50 people in the room, because when you're having a baby, it could be 50 people in your room. Like, other nurses like, oh, can I watch? I never saw a baby get delivered. You know, there's intern nurses that's been in there. Not intern, but nurses that just finished school that don't have that much experience. Like, they're like, everybody come in the room. Like it's literally like that. Like, it's so many people in your room that it's not just your doctor and a couple other people. There can be a lot of people in your room just to watch. Like, just because they want to see. I don't want none of that. Like, I just want the few people in the room, the doctors that I'm familiar with, no immature nurses. I want to be very cautious of who's sticking me with what they're sticking me with. I want the person to know just all of these things. So I'm very much more cautious than I was before, but I am very much so terrified, because it's just one of them situations you just never know. So far everything is pretty much good. She is healthy. She's so pretty. Like, I got my 3D ultrasound done and I'm just so excited for her. This is just first part of the vlog that I'm sharing with you guys. I do want to share my do my labor vlog. I want to film my labor and, you know, just following up after you guys. But I just wanted to really bring light to this situation, because they don't tell us this, and so many people you know, on social media and Instagram have reached out to me when I lost my last baby, and I didn't even realize like how many people have lost babies, how many people didn't know nothing about a cerclage, like so many things that you just don't know to help save your baby. Like, people would just get pregnant and keep trying and keep trying and keep failing, and have no idea that there is a way that you can keep your baby inside. So I just really hope that my situation, and I know it will, because I've kind of shared this story with people on Instagram, and you know, they are having a successful pregnancy, and they mentioned the cerclage, and their doctor told them about the cerclage. So I just hope that this sheds some light and just helps the next woman out, because that is a situation I wouldn't even wish on anybody, on my worst enemy, just to sit there and deliver your baby alive, just for him to pass away, and you just holding him until he turns blue. It's just really sad. And I'm better now. I can talk about it now finally without crying. But I'm very much so blessed for this baby, my little miracle baby coming. And yeah, so I just hope this gives hope. I pray that this gives hope for the next woman, and you know, just don't give up. And what God has for you is for you. And always protect your energy too. That's a whole nother topic, but protect your energy. And just, you know, I prayed for this little girl. I prayed that one day I had a healthy baby, and you know, it happened. It happened. I never thought it would happen, but it did. So I'm very much so gonna protect her and just try and wish me luck during this situation, because it's coming up, and I'm trying to stay positive and think positive, and I can't even believe it until it's here. So it's just like, yeah, I hope this guide helps you guys out. And I hope that whoever's seeing this and wants a baby, who lost a baby, or is pregnant right now and looking forward to whatever, I hope that this helps you out. And if you have any questions, I'm open to answering them. Follow my Instagram, Amber Beauty ATL, and also subscribe, because my labor video is coming up. I have more facial videos coming up. I have a lot of stuff that I'm dropping this year, so make sure you subscribe now, and don't forget to like. Thank you.